Hey geeks, I'm Trey Guillotine and you're watching Geekly Trends, where we give a few thoughts about some of the geeky trends that have gone on in the past week. Fallout 4 has some new Creation Club content. A convention is banning certain costumes. A Marvel TV show has already been canceled. And there's a new full-length trailer for the upcoming Tomb Raider movie. All of this on this week's Geekly Trends. Recently, Bethesda added some more content to their Fallout 4 Creation Club, and what this is, it's basically small paid DLC. You can buy different weapons, different outfits, some different cosmetic items in the Creation Store for a small price, although it's not so much a small price that you have to buy, because each item costs 400 Bethesda bucks. And so, but you can't buy 400 Bethesda bucks, you have to buy 700 Bethesda bucks and then use 400 of those, and then you have 300 bucks left. That's kind of where that gets you, and I really don't like that. But some of the content in there is really cool. They have a backpack that you can customize it with different patches. You can make it look like it's full of armor. You could make it look like it's full of ammo and guns or survival supplies. I actually kind of like the backpack. It looks pretty cool. What they've recently added is some armor and a gun from Doom. The armor is just marine armor. It's like this green, I say kind of Master Chief looking armor. I've never played Doom, so I don't know the context of the armor, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of Master Chief, just showing the midriff. I don't know, I didn't think the armor looked that good. And then the gun, it's a BFG, it's a really big effing gun. And it looks pretty cool. I'm probably not going to get it, but I kind of think that the idea behind this Creation Club is they make it sound like, it's this great thing. It's basically just paid DLC, when already there's free mods that actually give some of this already away for free, that people have made mods for, at least for Fallout 4, that it seems like that's kind of where they're getting these items. Maybe they're paying modders for these to then sell them on the thing, which I think that's actually a good idea, because people are basically modding and making your game better for almost no payment, if any at all. So I think if they're purchasing the rights to sell the content, I think that's not a bad thing. But overall, I think the Creation Club isn't that big of it's so awesome. It has a few cool things in it, but not that much. Hopefully, with them adding stuff from Doom, maybe they'll be adding other things from other games. Maybe we'll get the Dovahkiin armor to run around in Fallout 4. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of cool. But overall, I think the Creation Club is a little puffed up to more than it should be. Inhumans, which is actually premiering very shortly, has already been canceled. And like I said, it's premiering shortly. The show hasn't even aired yet, and it's already been canceled. A lot of people, just from seeing the trailer, including myself, weren't that enthusiastic about the show. It just didn't look that good. The costumes were kind of and I know this is kind of nitpicky, but even Medusa's wig was very obviously a wig, and it didn't look that good. Except for Lockjaw. Lockjaw looks amazing. I'm excited for Lockjaw. But aside from that, everything else was just kind of we weren't really excited for it. I was doing my best to reserve judgment until the show actually airs, especially since I'm going to be reviewing it. But already, before it even premieres, the show has been canceled. So they're going to show at least this one season, and it's going to be the complete series of Inhumans. What this means for the future of the Inhumans in the MCU is up in the air. But originally it was going to be a movie, then they scrapped it and made it a TV show. Inhumans are still involved in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We don't know where the next season of that is going, which the next season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is actually supposed to be premiering after the end of Inhumans. So we'll see what the connections are for that, how that's going to work out, how Inhumans are going to work out in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Don't know what's going to happen with that. But it does point out a worry that I've had about the future Marvel TV shows outside of Netflix, specifically their shows like Cloak and Dagger, the New Warriors, the shows that are outside of Netflix that they're trying to get off the ground. I'm already hearing rumors that the production of the show just isn't that good. It sounds like it's being rushed, like they're just trying to get the show out no matter if the quality is good or bad, which I can't imagine why they would want to do that. Why do they feel okay putting out a subpar, a sub-quality show when you're trying to build this universe, when you're trying to get more support from Marvel TV, because Marvel movies is definitely the big swinger with Marvel Studios or Marvel TV, while having some amazing shows on Netflix, are kind of floundering in other areas like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like Inhumans, and already like the shows that are just now still in production, already just, it's like having a cloud, it's like having this dark cloud over them before they're even off the ground. Hopefully, even though it was canceled, Inhumans will still be enjoyable. Just because the show was canceled doesn't mean that's a bad show. But it definitely doesn't bode well that before it even airs on television, it's already been canceled. Recently, Rose City Comic Con banned costumes representing Nazis or any kind of past atrocities. Their statement says, historical costumes can be great, but reminders of unspeakable atrocities are not appropriate. This goes for old school Hydra and Red Skull or any other Nazis from entertainment properties. Those figures, while comic related, are still very much Nazis. As a result, they are 100% banned always. This includes any sort of ironic or satirical costumes that reappropriate Nazi paraphernalia or gear. Now, some of the examples that they talk about, of course, are Old Hydra, Red Skull, who were Nazis. They were also talking about some Hello Kitty Nazis that were wandering around the con, and some other people giving, Nazi salutes. They're seeing it as very inappropriate, and they're banning it from their convention. Originally, when they first aired this, there was a lifetime ban that if you go to the convention in those costumes, you will be banned from the convention and not be allowed to return at all. But they did clarify that that's not going to be how it is, that they're basically just going to ask you to please change your costume to, leave the convention until you come back with another costume. I don't exactly disagree with this decision. I don't know. It's kind of up and down. It's very complicated. I don't necessarily disagree with it. Right now, we're seeing not at conventions. Right now, we're seeing a lot more images of hate and a lot more images of violence. Out like on the news, like on in the real world, outside of our fandoms, we're seeing these things take form. And to have them in conventions that are, supposed to be just fun, and you're just having fun, you're kind of escaping from the dreariness of the rest of the world, to have those same symbols, flash right back at you during the convention, I can see how that's inappropriate. A couple of years ago, we wouldn't have thought two things about this, of seeing someone dressed up as the Nazi general from Indiana Jones' Last Crusade, or seeing someone dressed up as Red Skull or a Hydra soldier, who are Nazis. But now, at this point, in 2017, for many reasons, the image of it is a little more prevalent and a little more current. And unfortunately, in our news and in our government, those ideals, those very hateful and violent ideals, are being accepted by our world leaders, or at least our country leaders. So the fact that they're banning, I don't necessarily disagree with their decision. On the other hand, I do also see this, of course, as, well, if you're going to ban this costume, why aren't you going to ban this costume, and where does it end? To just to talk about that own issue of like, oh, well, where does it end? If you're banning this, what are you going to ban next? It's a case-by-case basis. There shouldn't be a just blanket, widespread assumption on something. It needs to be a case-by-case basis. Like, we're banning Nazis for this reason. That doesn't mean we're banning this for this reason. It's a very touchy subject, but I see the argument where, if you're going to ban this, why not ban this? I also see the argument like, okay, unfortunately for the past while in comics, Captain America has been Hydra. He's essentially been a Nazi. And that's been a very controversial move on Marvel Comics' part. There's been a lot of arguments and a lot of complaints about it. I don't know the ultimate end of that story. I think he comes back and it wasn't really Captain America or something. I don't know what the story was. If someone wants to tell me what that story was, let me know. But does Captain America count for that? If someone wants to dress up as Hydra Captain America, does that count? There's a lot of levels to it, obviously. And I don't necessarily disagree with the decision to ban those costumes. I went to Dragon Con in 2016, and it was great, but there was a cosplay parade where a couple of people actually dressed up as the Twin Towers and a plane crashing into them. And it was just a very just tasteless costume. Like, and don't get me wrong, you know, if I didn't like it, why did I look at it? Sure, but there's a lot of levels. There's a lot of levels to this discussion, and even now, I don't think I could talk about them all. I've already had numerous arguments about this specific issue, about Rose City Comic Con banning Nazi costumes. I've already had that discussion with people that I just ultimately could not. There's a lot of levels to this, and I don't necessarily disagree with the decision. We have our first look at the new Tomb Raider movie coming out in 2018. The trailer looks fantastic. It looks like Tomb Raider, or it looks like the reboot of Tomb Raider. And when I say that it looks like Tomb Raider, it looks like they literally took scenes directly from Tomb Raider, the reboot, and put them into the movie. So many different situations. Her climbing on an old World War II plane, using it as kind of a bridge. Her in her cabin on the ship, and then jumping off the ship, getting cocked in the head on the beach. So much of the trailer looked like it was taken directly out of the Tomb Raider reboot, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. But the story, on the other hand, the kind of like general synopsis you get of the movie is that they're taking a lot of the story elements from Rise of the Tomb Raider, such as elements including Trinity, and putting it into the story of this movie. So it looks like really they're basically just taking the story from Rise of the Tomb Raider and putting it into the Tomb Raider reboot. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. I could definitely have the worry that it might become too convoluted, that trying to combine these two games, which both of the games are massive games on their own, trying to combine them might be a little too much. But aside from basically taking shots right out of Tomb Raider reboot, and then taking the involvement of Trinity out of Rise of the Tomb Raider and putting it together in this new story, it's not the same story from either of them, as far as I can tell. It's not the same exact story from either one, but it does look like it's taking a lot of notes from the Tomb Raider reboot and Rise of the Tomb Raider. The only thing that I did have, I guess, an issue with was like the very end of the trailer, where for whatever reason Nick Frost is, well, I guess not for whatever reason Nick Frost is an actor and he's in a movie, whatever. Where you see Nick Frost like giving Lara Croft all these guns, and she has the braided ponytail, and she has the double guns, and that one scene at the very end looks completely different thematically and tone-wise. It looks 100% like another movie. It looks like the Angelina Jolie movies. Like, that's what it looks like. It looks like you had the bulk of the trailer telling this story about Laura's kind of first adventure and finding herself as an archaeologist and as the Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. And then it goes to just one scene of all of the past Tomb Raider games. Like, that's the best way to say it. Like, that one scene looks like the past Tomb Raider games. It looks like the Angelina Jolie movies, where she's this, you know, incredibly busty, incredibly beautiful, just action hero, where the Tomb Raider reboot and Rise of the Tomb Raider, while, yes, she is technically kind of an action hero, she's still kind of like stumbling around, figuring things out as she goes. So just that one scene at the end looked like it was from just a completely different film than what we saw the bulk of the first part of the trailer. When you're planning your next Wizard World Comic Con experience, use the discount code GuillotineGeek online when purchasing your tickets, and use that savings to buy some merch or meet a celebrity. What did you think of this week's Geekly Trends, and are there any trends I missed that you'd like to talk about? Let me know in the comments, and follow me on all the internets. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it around so others can join the conversation. Check out my written content at guillotinegeek.blogspot.com, support my future content by becoming a supporter on my Patreon, and subscribe to my channel to geek out some more. Thanks for watching, have fun. So Captain America, Thor, Hulk.